Hey, it's Mike from Drive80.com and welcome. Hey, it's Mike from Drive80.com and welcome to Making After Effects Non-Scary. Today we're going to be talking about the rotation transform thingamabobber. So what we're going to do is we're going to start, and we're going to hit Q to get a square, and we're going to do it again. So hit Q, get this square, and we're going to draw it by holding Shift and drawing it down. Now, I want to get that anchor point in the middle, so I'm just going to click on it after hitting Y to get the pan behind anchor point tool, and I'm going to click it, hold down Command, and drag it up. And then I'm going to center it in the screen by hitting a line, composition. There we go. All right, so my box is in the center, and we're going to hit R to get the rotation thingamabobber transform. I keep messing that up. All right, so rotation transform. And so as in any instance of making something move, you have to use key point or keyframes. So we're going to do the first keyframe. We're either going to hit the watch here, which does a keyframe, or hit undo. We're going to hit Option R for putting that there, and that's pretty much goes for um, any of these transform tools. If I wanted to do P, I'd just move my current time indicator to where I want to do B and hit Option P, or I can hit Option S, or I can hit Option T. So all these things will start a keyframe somewhere, but I don't want to focus on those. I want to focus on rotation. I'm going to hit R to get back rotation. Perfect. Now rotation is just that. You can either rotate it clockwise, you can rotate it counterclockwise. And we want to make it go one time around from beginning to end. So we're going to be here at the beginning, and we're going to go for a second. So at a second, we're going to have it do one rotation. Now I could do 360, so it will go, if I go back to the beginning and I go here, it will flip around down to 360, or it'll just make that a 1. I could also make that, edit, or delete that. I can make it go 90 degrees in that time. And if I hit N to close the work area and I hit Control 0, it will show that it is now just going around to 90 degrees. So it looks like it's looping because I've got the work area closed off. But if I moved it out a bit more and I did it again and I render it, it'll go once around, done. Once around, done. So that's just basically showing it going 90 degrees. And so to make it speed up, I'll just drag this keyframe to the left, and I'll kind of close this down so it's not looping, taking so long to loop, and it will spin faster. And that's pretty much what we can do. We could also have it go minus 90. So if I did a minus 90, it will now go the opposite way. And it's going to go that way. And that's it. And if I want to extend that a bit more, I can just bring it out and hit Control 0, and it'll just be slower. Now we can have some fun with this, and we could also, if we go here, go to the end, and make it 0. But if I want to have it rotate, let's say 3 times, I put it into this little box right here, and I'll put 3. Now I may want to extend that just a little bit. Open this up. I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to hit Control 0. Now it's going to go a lot faster because it's got to get around 3 times to get to that point, but it still looks a little weird. So especially even if I close that up and did it, let me get that. Let me hit N, and it's going to look just it's just too much information happening for that actually to happen. So I'm going to extend this out a bit more, and I'm going to hit Control 0, and it's going to spin around 3 times to get there. 1, 2, 3. Okay. That's it. So that can kind of give you an idea. So let's say that, I don't know, you had a clock, or if you need something to spin around for a duration that's 20 seconds, just 3 times, you can bring this out to here, and then you can run preview it. Again, it has to write all this information, and that's what that green's doing. It's just basically saying draw literally frame by frame what this would look like in these sections. So it's going to be slow, but now when it's all done, it's okay, cool. Now here's the speed we're going to go. So this was something you needed to just be in the background. That's one way to do it. And you just let it sit there, and you can have a bunch of other stuff happening on top of it. But we're not going to do, we're we're not going to go nuts with that and add some more elements. We're just going to work with this square. So I'm going to hit the plus sign. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. I'm going to hit N, and I'm going to close this off. So we're going to work in here just a little bit more. So let's think of some other cool stuff to do with this. All right, let me delete this. Now we can make that 0. And what we could do is you can rotate to the right, you can have it stop, you can go to the left, you can have it stop. So we can have a little fun with this, and which is what we're going to do. So we're going to start a keyframe here with the R. Now if I move out a little bit, we can just say, all right, you're just going to go that far, and then we're going to keep that there. So what we want to do to keep that there is you want to copy this. And I'm going to hit, if it's in yellow, that means it's selected. I'm going to hit Command C, and I hit Command V, and it's going to paste it. So it's keeping the same coordinates. So saying within this time, there's nothing changing with this number right here. And it's going to say that afterwards unless I tell it to move. And we'll do that here. So let's say we want it to go now backwards. So we're going to go the opposite way. And then we're going to have it stay there. We could also just hit Command R, and it'll hold that value. And then we're going to go, let's say, 2 times. It's going to spin 2 times in, actually, we're going to make it go the opposite direction. Make it the opposite direction, so we'll hit minus 35. It's going to do some math for you here, so let's see what that did. If I drag it, it's going to go right, it's going to stay, it's going to go left, stay, and then it's going to go right really fast. So let's see. Let's render this and see how it looks. So boom, 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 repeat itself. So yeah, it's a little fun. And we can also mess around with the graph editor to give it a little bit more life. So if we select all of these by clicking anywhere and just dragging over them, or we could just hit this rotation right there to select it. We don't want to hit the watch because the watch will then deselect everything and it'll get rid of them. So Command Z to undo that. And I'm going to go to the graph editor here, and I'm going to draw a line over that. And if I didn't do that, I would just click on this, and it's got them selected. So I can also zoom in on them a little bit. So say like this is the work area I want to work in, and I want to click on Easy Ease because it's just going to give it a little bit more life. This part might get a little weird because it's making it fast and slow, but we're going to see. So we're going to Control 0, and we'll see how it's doing. So let's see. So it looks like just a little bit more alive. I'm going to just bring this out a little bit just so you can kind of see, give it some air. So it looks just more lifelike when it's got the graph editor working. So I'm going to turn that off for a second. I'm also going to space this out a little bit. So if I were to just select this and move it, it'll take all of them. But if I were to hold Option and drag and grab the one at the furthest end of this and drag it, it will now kind of keep that space between everything, but just extend it a little bit. And that's really helpful when you're in the middle of a project, and just that alone saves you so much freaking time. Because if not, sorry, I just said that. Let's say I didn't do that, and I'm hitting undo, then it's like, okay, we'll have to put this here, and then I gotta eyeball this one to go here, and crap, I don't remember how much space is there, and I really like the distance that it was. So if I undo all that, and then I select this, and then I option, click, and drag, it'll do that. And I'm gonna give it a little life, little breathing room, and hit Command 0, and we're gonna see it just takes a little bit longer, but let's see what happens. So yeah, again, it just looks and then it like as it's like coming down here, it's just like kind of slowly slowing down. And if we go into the graph editor and we click on it, we can zoom in and we can we can mess with these handles here a little bit. So what it's doing is that when it's going up, it's going that's faster, and it's slower going the opposite way. So that means that it's going really fast, and then it's kind of like just sloping to slow. And it will see what I mean by hitting Control 0. Again, it's got to write all this information, and now you can see it. It just looks so much smoother right there. And that looks like that's the whole thing with animation is you really want to make it look alive, and that's what gets people's attention. It's not this linear robotic crap that I see, and a lot of people out of college, they don't have that ability to make it look like lifelike, and it's just these little tiny things that they could add that can really help that. Another thing that could really help it is if you turn up the frame rate. So if I click on the comp and I hit Command K to bring up its values or properties, if I just make this 60 frames a second, that means that within a second there's 60 more frames of writing information. And I got to make sure if I'm previewing it that that's going to have 60. All right. So if I hit Control 0, it's gonna look way different to you when this is playing, and you'll definitely be able to see visually. So once it's done writing this information, then here we go. There's just a bit of a kind of like a brightness to it that's just different. Just looks, I don't know, kind of gives like an HD feel to it. But yeah, so then we'll see that if I undo that, or if I do Command K and to make this 24, and then I have to make this 24 because your visual or your previewing this in here, so that the frame rate here has to match the frame rate here. That's a little bit more complicated, but just trust me, I know what I'm talking about. So you'll see that if I'm playing in 24, it's just a little choppier. It's like there's a difference in the look, and you have to determine that too in the beginning of any workflows. You have to start it with your frame rate settled. You can change it later on, but if you were bringing movies in and the movie was shot in 60 frames a second, and then you had this thing in 24 frames a second, it's going to look like complete crap. But if so you always want to make sure that whatever movie you're bringing in at this frame rate is going to match that, and you want to build on that. So yeah, so let's see, we got this thing moving around, it's there. That's pretty much it. There's just a ton of stuff you can do. You can also change the, sorry, my dog's in the background. You can also change the anchor point, and it'll turn on, it'll turn on that access point. So if I'm moving it here, this thing's gonna have a whole different story it's gonna tell. So here, yeah, there we go. So I've got it's moving around. Now it's going around that anchor point, and that's just a whole different aspect. And I wouldn't want to mess with the anchor point if I was messing with position, but since it's on rotation, then I can do whatever I want. So here we go. So now it's going to swing outside of the composition area. And that's pretty cool. You could have that. Let's say you wanted that to just swing around the entire time. So let's get rid of these. Let's delete them. Let's hit Option R. Let's hit I to go to the beginning of this, and hit Option R there, and hit K. Maybe we could do 2 times. Let's see what this looks like. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Nah. Let's zero this out. So let's say 0. Let's say 0. Okay. But if I hit W, that will get my the rotation tool from up here. So I'm going to start this. I'll start this here. Here we go. And then I'm going to give it Option R, and here I'm going to do Option R again, but I'm going to have it go around 2 times or 3 times. I'm also going to give it a little bit of ease. So I'm going to get the graph editor. I'm going to select it by dragging it over, get this, and I'm going to play with that, and let's see what we come up with here. All right, so it's spinning around super fast, and then it's slowing down. That's pretty cool. And it's going to do it again. So it looks like an amusement park ride, like one of those things that just, I don't know, goes really fast, scares the crap out of you, and then you're done. Okay. Yeah, so that's the rotation tool. If you have any questions, comment in the description or comment area that's either below this video or above this video. I put these all over the place, so it could either be on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. But yeah, just leave a comment. I'm glad to answer any questions. I'm glad to create more videos based on what you're looking to learn. And again, I want to make After Effects non-scary because this stuff can be pretty intense. And hopefully I'm doing a good job. So my email is mike@drive80.com. And if you want to email me, you can do so. And oops, there we go. Yeah, so that's it. And I hope you enjoy.